Welcome to Thinking Deeper by 6-7. Imagine a world where the bottom of your breakfast cup holds the absolute secrets of your future. We are talking wars, weddings, wealth, disaster, all written in wet, soggy leaves at the bottom of a porcelain cup. We are exploring a lost art from the Scottish Highlands that claims to turn a simple beverage into a mirror of destiny. Today's deep dive is into teacup reading and fortune-telling by Tea Leaves by a Highland Seer.
It's a fascinating little book. It is equal parts, I think, a mystical manual, a psychological study, and really an accidental history lesson.
It really is, and I want to set the stage right away because when I first picked this up, I thought, okay, it's going to be a fun little list of superstitions, but it is so much denser than that. It's written by this anonymous figure, this Highland Seer, and it was published right around, 1917?
Which is the critical piece of context here, 1917. That's not just a date, it's a state of mind.
Exactly. We are deep in the trenches of World War I, the greatest of all wars, as the author actually calls it. And you can feel that anxiety just dripping off every single page. This isn't just about, will I find a pot of gold? This is people desperate to know if their husbands, their brothers, their sons are coming home.
That's right. The seer actually addresses this explicitly right in the introduction.
Okay.
He notes this massive spike in the public's interest in the future. And it makes perfect sense, you know?
Of course.
You have families separated by thousands of miles. The mail is slow. It's often censored. The telegraph, it only provides these tiny fragments of news. The psychological torture of the unknown was a daily reality for millions and millions of people.
So naturally, they turn to the teacup. It's accessible. It's right there in your kitchen. It's domestic. And it promises something that the newspapers and the government couldn't give them.
Certainty.
Certainty,
Yeah.
yes.
Or at least the illusion of it. The seer calls it a sane and natural curiosity to know what a day may bring forth. And what we're going to do in this deep dive is really take apart the machinery of how they did this. We aren't just going to list the symbols.
Though we will, because some of them are wild.
Oh, we absolutely will, but we're going to look at the philosophy behind it. Because the author makes a very strange, very bold claim right at the start of the book.
He does. And this is where I want to start. Because he seems almost defensive. He insists that teacup reading isn't magic. He says it is scientific.
Yes, and this is such a fascinating rhetorical move. You have to remember, the late Victorian and Edwardian eras were completely obsessed with this bridge between science and the supernatural. You had the Society for Psychical Research trying to measure ghosts with thermometers and barometers, and here the Highland Seer is arguing that divination operates on what he calls universal law.
Events do not happen to people by chance.
Ugh.
That is the core argument, isn't it?
That's the bedrock of the whole system. He completely rejects the concept of randomness. He argues that every future event is the result of a past cause. It's all just cause and effect.
So if a ball rolls off a table, it's because it was pushed.
Right.
If a war starts, it's because of political tensions. He's just extending that logic to everything in a person's life.
Exactly. But then he takes it this massive, massive step further. He argues that because you, the individual, are the one who set these causes in motion, even the ones you don't realize, you actually carry the knowledge of your destiny inside you.
Right, it's locked away in your subconscious.
It's already there. You already know it's going to happen. You just can't access it directly.
And this is where the science of the teacup comes in. He describes a mechanism that sounds suspiciously like modern psychology, but he frames it as, like, physics.
He does. He claims that when you perform the ritual, when you swirl the cup, you absolutely must concentrate. You have to will the truth to appear. And he argues that this mental concentration acts upon the nerves of the arm and the hand.
So let me get this straight. My brain, on some deep level, knows I'm going to get promotion next week. My conscious mind doesn't know it yet. But my subconscious has, crunched the data. And when I swirl the cup, my subconscious twitches my wrist in just the right way to make the leaves form a star shape.
That is the theory, precisely. He says the consultant unconsciously directs the muscles to arrange the leaves in a pattern that reflects that hidden knowledge.
It's essentially the ideomotor effect.
It is. It's the exact same principle behind the Ouija board or a dowsing rod or a pendulum. You think you aren't moving it, but your tiny unconscious micro-movements are guiding the outcome. The seer is basically saying, I'm not a wizard casting a spell, I'm a physiologist decoding your muscle spasm.
Which is just brilliant branding for 1917. It makes it acceptable for a rational modern person to do. It's not superstition.
I'm not superstitious, I'm just utilizing my magnetic fluid.
Magnetic fluid is a term he actually uses, isn't it?
He actually uses it. It's that old mesmerism language. It's all about invisible forces and vibrations. But there is a catch to this science, a really important one. The mechanism is delicate, and it apparently breaks down completely if you try to make a profit.
Ah, the taint of money. This section felt very, well, very judgmental.
Oh, it's dripping with class condescension. The seer is absolutely adamant. The moment money changes hands, the accuracy disappears.
The exact quote is, "The credit of the fortune told disappears."
He's drawing this hard line in the sand. On one side, you have the innocent domestic practitioner, the spay wife in the Highlands, he calls her, or the grandmother at the tea table. And on the other side, you have the gypsy soothsayers and the professional urban fortune tellers.
And he really throws shade at the professionals. He says they prefer palm reading or cards because those are lucrative. It's just a business to them.
Right. He's framing tea reading as this pure art precisely because it's hard to monetize. You can't really do it on a street corner with a dirty cup. It requires a kitchen, a kettle, a table. It's intimate.
But isn't he also kind of gatekeeping? He's basically saying, if you do this for a living, you're a fraud. But if you do it in your parlor with your friends, it's science.
That's absolutely the subtext, 100%. It's a way of elevating this folk practice into something genteel, something respectable. His logic is that if you're doing it for money, your mind is distracted by greed. You lose that singleness of mind required to channel the magnetic fluid. Therefore, the only true reading is a free reading.
It really reframes the whole practice. It's not a transaction, it's a bonding ritual.
Which, historically, is probably very accurate for the Highlands. The spay wife wasn't a businesswoman. She was often just a wise woman in the village. It was a form of community care, not a business model.
Speaking of history, the text does acknowledge that tea is a relative newcomer. Tea didn't even arrive in Britain until the 17th century. So how does he justify this as some ancient Scottish art?
He pivots. It's a clever move. He says the medium is near, but the method is ancient. And he draws this lineage all the way back to ancient Greece.
He brings up Kodabos.
Yes, Kodabos, which was, by all accounts, a very popular party game in ancient Greece.
Describe this for us because it sounds incredibly messy.
It was. Imagine you're at a symposium, you're lying on a couch, you're drinking wine from this specific kind of cup of kylix, which was wide and shallow. And when you get to the end, you don't just finish it. You take the cup and you fling the dregs, the leftover wine, across the room into a metal basin.
You literally throw the wine.
You throw the wine, and you interpret the sound it makes when it hits the metal or the pattern the splash makes on the side of the basin. It was usually used to predict luck in love. Does she love me? Splash. Yes.
So the Highland Seer is claiming that this polite domestic ritual of tea leaf reading is the dignified grandchild of a bunch of Greeks throwing wine at a metal bowl.
That's it exactly, is the evolution of interpreting fluid chaos. Whether it's wine dregs or tea leaves, the fundamental human desire to find a pattern in the mess is exactly the same.
Okay, so we have the philosophy. It's scientific muscle twitching, guided by the subconscious. We have the history. It's Greek wine throwing, but, refined. Now, I want to get into the how-to, the practicalities, because if you're listening to this and you want to try it, you need the right gear, and the seer is very, very specific.
You cannot just grab a mug and a tea bag. Absolutely not.
No tea bags. Obviously, they didn't really exist in a widespread way in 1917, but even today, you can't use them.
You need loose leaf, but not just any loose leaf. The seer insists it has to be China tea.
Why China tea? Is it more magical?
It's purely structural. He warns against Indian tea, or the cheap mixtures that were becoming common back then. He says they contain too many stalks and dust.
So basically, twigs and dirt.
Pretty much. If you use a tea that is too broken down, too fine, you just get a brown sludge at the bottom of the cup. You can't see pictures in sludge. China tea leaves tend to be larger, whole leaves, and they unfurl in hot water in a specific way that creates distinct shapes. You need clarity for the science to work.
Okay, so good quality whole leaf China tea. What about the cup itself?
A wide opening and a small bottom. So the standard Victorian teacup shape. But he gives a very stern warning. No fluting and no patterns on the inside.
So if the inside of your cup has little painted roses on it, you're in trouble.
It confuses the eye. You need a blank white canvas. If you're trying to see if a particular leaf looks like a dog, you don't want a painted flower getting in the way and distorting the image.
That makes a lot of sense, actually.
Okay.
So let's walk through the ritual. This is what he calls the casting of the cup. I, am the consultant. I've got my China tea and my plain white cup. I've drunk most of it. What's next?
Right. You leave about half a teaspoon of liquid, just enough to let the leaves float and move around.
Okay. Now, talk to me about the swirl. This seems to be the most critical physical action in the whole process.
It is. This is where the subconscious does its work. The text says to hold the cup by the handle in your left hand.
Always the left. Any reason for that?
Always the left. The left side is traditionally associated with the intuitive, the passive, the receptive, the heart side. The right is the side of action. You swirl it 3 times, always from left to right.
And it has to be, he says, a fairly rapid swinging movement.
You really want to agitate those leaves. You want to use centrifugal force to get them up onto the sides of the cup. And while you are doing this is absolutely crucial. You must be in a state of high anxiety or deep concentration regarding your question.
So I really need to be stressing about my future.
You need to be focused. He talks about horary questions.
Break that term down for us. Horary. I've heard that before.
It comes directly from astrology. A horary chart is cast for the exact moment a question is asked. So it means of the hour. You aren't asking, what will my life be like in 40 years? You are asking, will I get the letter I'm waiting for today? Is my son safe on the battlefield right now? It's immediate and urgent.
Okay, I've swirled 3 times. I'm focused on my question. Now what?
You slowly, deliberately invert the cup over the saucer. You turn it completely upside down. And you just leave it there.
For how long?
He suggests about a minute. You need every single drop of liquid to drain away. If the cup is too wet, the leaves will slide down when you pick it up, and the destiny is ruined. You need them to adhere to the porcelain.
That minute of silence, that must have been incredibly tense. Imagine you're a mother in 1917 waiting for news from the front. You turn the cup, you stare at the blank, upside-down porcelain. You just wait.
It's a built-in dramatic pause. It's a moment of pure potential. It allows the consultant to project all their hopes and fears into that hidden space.
And then the reveal. You turn the cup back over. And now we have to navigate the map, because the position of the leaves matters just as much as their shape.
Geography is everything in tasseography. We start with the handle.
The handle is me, the person asking the question.
Exactly. The handle represents the consultant. It is the house in astrology. It is the anchor point of the entire reading. Everything is read in relation to the handle.
So if I see a symbol, let's say a scary dog, and it's right next to the handle.
It is at your door. It is happening to you, at your home, immediately. It's personal.
But if that same dog symbol is on the opposite side of the cup, far from the handle.
It's involving someone else, or it's an event that's happening far away. It's not directly impacting your house.
What about movement? Can the leaves show direction? Like, is something coming or going?
Yes, absolutely. If a symbol is pointing towards the handle, it is approaching you. If a bird is flying towards the handle, news is coming. If it's flying away from the handle, the news is leaving, or perhaps you are the one sending it.
That's very clear. And the timeline. How do I distinguish between an event happening tomorrow versus next year?
It's all vertical. The cup is a timeline from the top to the bottom.
Okay, so the rim is.
The rim, the very top edge where you sit, but that is the now, the immediate present, things that will happen in hours or days.
And the sides of the cup?
The middle section of the sides, that's the near future. Weeks, maybe a month or 2 out.
The bottom, the very bottom of the cup.
The bottom is the remote future. Or, in many cases, it represents the final conclusion of the matter you ask about.
The text gets a little dark about the bottom of the cup, though.
It does. We'll get to the specific symbols later, but generally things at the bottom are, well, they're submerged. They are heavy. If a symbol of bad luck is at the bottom, it's a profound and deep-seated misfortune. But interestingly, if a symbol of good luck, like a ring for marriage, is at the very bottom.
The wedding is off. It's not happening.
The wedding will not take place. The bottom is where potential goes to die, apparently. It's a very fatalistic view.
So we have the map, handle is me, rim is now, sides are soon, bottom is later, or never. Now we have to actually read the leaves. And the seer admits something refreshingly honest here. He says, when you first look in, the leaves look like meaningless confusion.
She doesn't pretend it's a high-definition photograph of your future. He admits it looks like a chaotic mess.
So how do we see anything?
Imagination. He explicitly says the seer must use their imagination. It's a classic example of pareidolia, the psychological phenomenon of seeing patterns in random data.
Like seeing a face on Mars or a dragon in the clouds.
Exactly that. You have to squint a bit. He says you should turn the cup slowly, view it from different angles. You continue until the shapes resolve themselves into resemblances of known objects.
And he puts a lot of weight on the clarity of these images.
Yes, this is a key principle. A distinct symbol is powerful. If you see an anchor and it is sharp and clear, that is a strong, undeniable omen of stability.
But if it's fuzzy or blurry,
If it's muddled or cloudy, it means the force of the omen is weak. Or, and this is a great little out, it means your mind was confused when you swirled the cup. He puts the blame right back on the user.
it's a classic bit of tech support, isn't it? It's user error.
You didn't concentrate hard enough, so your future is blurry. Try again.
Before we get to the pictures of animals and objects, let's talk about the abstract symbols. Because the cup isn't just pictures. It's full of that dust and those stalks he mentioned.
Right. The dots and the lines, these form the background texture of the reading.
I love the dots. They're so straightforward.
Everyone loves the dots. Dots almost always represent money.
Just plain cash. Or wealth in general.
Cash, wealth, possessions. If you see another symbol surrounded by a cluster of little dots, it elevates the meaning of that symbol. A letter symbol with dots is a letter containing money.
A remittance check from a soldier, for example.
Exactly. Or a heart with dots.
A rich lover.
Or pleasure derived from money. It's a very practical, almost materialistic system.
And the lines. The little stalks of tea.
Lines are journeys. This is so evocative of the era. Everyone was moving, soldiers deploying to the front, families visiting wounded relatives, refugees fleeing. The idea of the journey was central to life.
So a straight line indicates travel.
And its path is important. If a line starts at the handle and goes all the way around the cup and returns to the handle...
A safe return. You come home.
Yes. But if the line stops abruptly, or if it ends at a cross symbol...
You don't come back.
It's a very stark, very literal system. And he also mentions wavy lines.
Wavy lines mean trouble.
Troublesome journeys, delays, obstacles. And again, think of 1917 transport. Trains breaking down, ships dodging U-boats. A wavy line was a legitimate fear, not just a minor inconvenience.
The text also makes a point about square or oblong leaves. Larger, flat pieces.
Letters. Mail.
Again, this absolute obsession with mail.
It was the lifeline of the world. If you see a rectangular leaf, a letter is coming. And he gets even more specific. If there are small leaves nearby that form an L, that's the initial of the person the letter is from.
So you will get a letter from Larry.
It's incredibly specific. Or it claims to be.
Okay, let's do it. Let's open the dictionary. This is the heart of the book, the part everyone probably bought it for. The Dictionary of Symbols.
It is exhaustive, and it is a real window into the Edwardian mind.
I want to break this down by category, because the worldview of the Highland Seer really shines through here. Let's start with the farmyard, the animal kingdom.
This is where you can really see the rural bias. This is not a city person's guide to fortune-telling.
Let's talk about the pig. What does a pig in your teacup mean?
The pig. The text says it's good and bad mixed.
How so?
It signifies a faithful lover but envious friends.
I love that specific combination. It's like your home life is great, but your social circle is toxic. Why a pig, though?
Well, you can see the logic, right? The pig is valuable livestock, a source of wealth and stability, so a faithful provider. But it's also seen as messy, greedy, associated with wallowing in filth, so envious, jealous people.
Okay, that makes sense. Contrast that with the dog.
The dog is almost universally good. Faithful friends, a loyal companion, unless it's at the bottom of the cup, in which case it signifies a friend in deep trouble.
But then we get to the cat. Now, in modern Inrigget culture, we worship cats. They are symbols of comfort and independence.
The Highland Seer does not worship cats. Not at all.
No,
The symbol of the cat means one thing: treachery.
just flat-out betrayal, deceit.
Deceit. It comes from a very traditional, older superstition. Cats were associated with witches, with being sly, sneaky, disloyal. If you see a cat in your cup, someone close to you is lying to you.
And then there's the rat, which is, I think, universally disliked.
Right. But the meaning is very specific. Treacherous servants.
That phrase really dates the book, doesn't it? Treacherous servants.
It does. It assumes a certain kind of household, but it also means loss through enemies. A rat is something that gnaws away at your security, that steals from you in the night.
Okay, here's the one that just... It made me stop reading and stare at the wall for a minute. The kangaroo.
A kangaroo. Yes.
Explain to me why a Scottish seer in 1917 includes a kangaroo in his Dictionary of Symbols.
It is completely bizarre, isn't it? It represents a rival in business or love.
A rival? Why? Because they box. Because they have pouches they hide things in.
I think it has to be the novelty factor. In 1917, for most people in Britain, a kangaroo is this exotic, strange, aggressive oddity from the other side of the world. Maybe it's just the idea that they jump in unexpectedly and take things.
I had a thought about this. What if it's related to the Australian troops, the ANZACs, who were famous in WWI?
That is a brilliant theory.
Maybe the kangaroo is a sort of slang or reference to an Australian rival.
Your girlfriend is going to leave you for an Australian soldier. It absolutely fits the timeline and the context. That makes so much more sense.
Let's move on to the objects. The man-made world. The anchor is a big one.
A very common symbol. It means constancy.
Stability.
Yes. Constancy in love and business. It holds you steady in a storm. Unless it is cloudy or appears broken, then it means instability and failure.
And the bridge.
A favorable journey means you're going to successfully cross over an obstacle in your life.
What about something like scissors?
Arguments, quarrels, the act of cutting ties, a separation. The symbolism is very direct.
It is. And the ring.
We touched on this. The ring means marriage, but again, context is key. If it is near clouds, it signifies an unhappy marriage.
So, you will get married, but you will be miserable.
The seer does not pull his punches. It's not always a happy reading.
Okay, let's look at the natural world. Trees and plants.
Generally, these are very positive. Trees are one of the best signs for prosperity and happiness. They represent growth, shelter, stability.
And the oak in particular.
The acorn, specifically, it means health and strength. It's a sign of a strong constitution. If you are sick and you see an acorn in your cup, the book says you will recover.
But there are bad nature signs, too. We mentioned clouds.
Clouds are almost always bad. They mean serious trouble. They obscure the path forward. Unless, and this is the all-important loophole, they are surrounded by dots.
Money clouds.
If the clouds have dots around them, it means financial success that comes through trouble. It implies that the trouble is just the stress and hustle of running a successful business.
So, you will be stressed out of your mind, but you will be rich. I think a lot of people would take that trade.
Most people would.
I want to move to what might be the most valuable part of the book for understanding how this all works in practice. The specimen cups.
Yes. He doesn't just list symbols, he gives us case studies. He draws out entire cups to show how a reading works in practice, how you combine the symbols into a story.
They are essentially short stories written in tea leaves. Let's look at figure 1. This is described as a commonplace cup.
Right. This is a low-stakes, everyday reading. The seer describes seeing a large bouquet on the rim of the cup.
A bouquet of flowers means.
A gift, or a social gathering, a celebration. And near it, there are dots.
Money.
So the interpretation is, you are going to a wedding or a party very soon, and it will cost you some money for a gift, but you will have a very good time.
That's so mundane. It's so normal.
That's the point. Not every reading is life or death. Sometimes the leaves just say, you have a party on Saturday, don't forget to buy a present.
But then we get to figure 3. This one feels more anxious, more specific to the time.
Figure 3 features a rock and a ship.
A rock is bad, I assume.
A rock is an obstacle, a danger. But in the drawing, the ship is sailing past the rock, not into it.
Okay, so disaster averted.
Right. But the ship is pointing away from the handle.
So someone is leaving on a journey.
Yes. And then near the handle, there is a teapot.
A teapot in the teacup. That's a bit meta.
It represents the special function of the tea table, which, according to the seer, is gossip, women gathering to talk.
So the full reading is, someone is sailing away on a long journey, they will narrowly avoid a disaster at sea, and you and your friends are going to talk about it over tea.
Essentially, yes, it's a narrative of safe passage and community news.
But then we have figure 8.
Ah, figure 8.
This is the one that gave me chills. This is the war cup.
It is. This really grounds the entire book in its time. It's why this isn't just a quaint collection of superstitions.
Walk us through what the seer sees in figure 8. It's a complex image.
On one side of the cup, the leaves form a clear flag and a rifle.
Unmistakable military symbols. Battle.
Right next to them is a small leaf that has formed the letter V.
So it's about a specific person.
The seer interprets this as a friend or relative whose name begins with V is in battle. The rifle implies he's in active combat at the front.
Okay, that's already tense.
But then, at the bottom of the cup down, in that zone of misfortune and finality, there is a very clear, distinct shape. A coffin.
Oh,
The
wow.
interpretation is blunt and heartbreaking. V will be wounded in this battle, and those wounds will be fatal.
That is just so heavy. To see that in your morning cup of tea?
But, and this is the balancing the seer talks about, you have to read the whole cup, you look at the other side. Opposite the coffin, there is a scepter.
A scepter like a king or queen would hold.
Yes, a symbol of royalty and honor. And near it, the letter K.
K for king.
Exactly. The final interpretation is, V will die, but he will be recognized for his bravery by the king. He will receive honors, perhaps posthumously, a medal.
So the message isn't just your friend is going to die, it's your friend is going to die a hero.
It's a tragic comfort. It's such a poignant reflection of the reality of 1917. The teacup wasn't just about, will I meet a tall, dark stranger? It was a tool for processing unimaginable grief, for dealing with national honor and the desperate need to find some meaning in the slaughter.
It really validates that science argument from the beginning. Not the physics part maybe, but the psychological part. People needed this. If you can see the coffin in the cup, at least you are prepared.
Yeah.
It removes the shock, the suddenness of the telegram boy at the door.
It allows you to rehearse the grief, to process it before it becomes official reality. It's a coping mechanism, plain and simple.
That is. Yeah, that's profound and incredibly sad.
It is.
But the book doesn't end on that sad note. It actually pivots again, quite dramatically.
It does. We get to the final section.
The seer seems to decide that tea leaves aren't enough. He wants to give us a crash course in everything else, the whole world of general omens.
This section feels like a grab bag of folklore. He seems to want to validate the tea reading by connecting it to a wider, universal world of signs and portents. He argues that the world is constantly sending us messages if we only know how to look.
He cites Babylon, Assyria, ancient Greece. He's very keen to prove that this is all part of a universal law.
His old refrain, there are no coincidences.
Let's look at the body omens, because I feel like I grew up hearing some of these. They're still around.
Most of us did. They're incredibly persistent.
Sneezing.
Sneezing. Now, we usually just say, bless you, to ward off evil spirits, but the seer says, in ancient Greece, sneezing was a form of confirmation.
How do you mean?
If you are speaking and you suddenly sneeze right after making a statement, it means that what you just said is true. The gods have confirmed it.
I'm definitely going to be a millionaire. But you. Well, there you have it. Confirmed.
The gods have spoken through your nose.
What about the tingling ears? I definitely heard this one as a kid. Your ears are burning.
Right. The basic meaning is that you are being talked about somewhere. But the seer gives us the directional rule, which is where it gets tricky.
The classic left versus right.
He says the old rhyme is right for spite, left for love.
Wait, I always get this mixed up.
If your right ear is burning, someone is slandering you, saying nasty things. If your left ear burns, they are praising you. Or maybe it's the other way around.
He admits the tradition varies.
He does. He says in some districts it is reversed, which is not helpful at all. Imagine your ear is burning and you have no idea if you should be flattered or angry.
Then there are the itching hands.
This one is a classic. Left to receive, right to give. If your left palm itches, money is coming in. You're going to receive cash. If your right palm itches, you're going to have to pay a bill.
I feel like my right palm is always itching.
Then we have the animal omens. We talked about the animals in the cup, but these are about encounters with real animals.
Let's talk about spiders.
Spiders. Now, most people's immediate reaction is to kill a spider in the house.
I am guilty of this, yes.
The seer says, stop. Do not do that, especially if it's the money spider.
Little red one.
The tiny little red one. He says it spins the web of fortune. If you find one on your clothes, it's a sign of immense good luck. If you kill it, you are literally destroying your own wealth.
I will try to keep that in mind. No more squishing.
And then there's the white bird.
This one felt very gothic, very dramatic.
It is. He mentions that in certain old aristocratic families, the appearance of a single white bird is a sure sign of a death in the family.
It's very Fall of the House of Usher or something.
And he backs this up with a very specific and checkable anecdote. The Furs family cow.
This story is wild. Tell us about the Chartley Park herd.
Okay, so the Lord Ferrers family had this ancient herd of wild cattle at their estate, Chartley Park. These were very distinctive-looking animals, white cows with black ears. The local tradition, for centuries, held that if a party-colored calf, so a calf that was born with mixed colors, black and white spots, deviating from the pure pattern, was born into the herd, a member of the Lord Ferrers family would die within the year.
A mutant cow predicts the death of an aristocrat.
And the seer claims this was verified. He cites a newspaper, the Staffordshire Chronicle from July 1835.
He brought receipts. He's citing his sources.
He did. He says a black calf was born, and the then Countess of Ferrers died shortly after. He uses this as his proof. He's saying, look, nature sends these big, obvious signs. Tea leaves are just a smaller, more personal version of the same thing.
It's an appeal to authority, in a way. If this kind of thing is good enough for the Earl of Ferrers, it's good enough for you and your teacup.
Finally, we get the domestic superstitions, the little things we do in the house every day.
Clothes. Putting them on inside out by accident.
That's a lucky sign.
I always just thought this meant I got dressed in the dark and was tired.
No, it's an omen of good fortune coming your way. But, and this is the strict and very inconvenient rule, you must not change it.
So if I walk into a meeting at work with my shirt on inside out,
You have to own it. If you go to the bathroom and you flip it right side out, the luck evaporates. You have to wear the mistake all day long to receive the good fortune.
I'm not sloppy, boss. I'm courting destiny.
Exactly.
And of course, salt.
Spilling salt brings a quarrel. We still have this one.
And you have to throw a pinch over your left shoulder
Why the left specifically?
to hit the devil in the eye, right?
Correct. The left is the sinister side, in the Latin sense. The devil is said to hover behind your left shoulder, waiting to cause mischief. You blind him with the salt so he can't cause the fight that the spilled salt predicted.
It's amazing how these things survive. We might not consciously believe in the devil hovering there, but millions of people still throw the salt.
It's cultural muscle memory. It's just what you do.
So we've covered the philosophy, the ritual, the symbols, the omens. It is, when you put it all together, a comprehensive system for managing anxiety.
That is the best possible way to describe it. It's an anxiety management system.
So let's bring this all home. What does this book, this practice mean for us over 100 years later?
Well, it's interesting because the Highland Seer himself ultimately presents this as an innocent amusement.
Innocent amusement.
He uses that exact phrase. Despite all the talk of scientific laws and destiny and the tragedy of WWI, in the end, he frames it as something to do around the tea table with friends. It's fundamentally social.
It's about connection.
It's a mix of psychological projection, you see what you want or fear to see, and social bonding. You sit with a friend, you look at a chaotic mess together, and you say, I think I see a ship. Maybe you're going on a journey. You are articulating your hopes out loud.
Or your fears. I see a rat. I see what looks like a coffin.
And it gives you a framework to discuss those anxieties safely. Instead of saying, I'm terrified my husband won't come back from the war, which might feel unpatriotic or just too hard to say, you can say, does this look like a broken flag to you? It displaces the fear onto the object.
It makes the fear manageable because it's not this huge abstract terror anymore. It's just a leaf.
Exactly. It organizes the terrifying chaos of life into a small, contained narrative we can read and discuss.
And here's where it gets really interesting for me, and it goes back to the beginning. The text suggests we carry our destiny within us.
Yes.
And that our subconscious projects it into the cup.
Right.
So here's my provocative thought for you, for the listener. If the leaves are just random chaos, just physics and fluid dynamics and bits of plant matter, and we are the ones imposing the meaning onto them.
Are we really predicting the future?
Or are we deciding it right then and there? If I see a bridge and I decide it means a favorable journey, do I then go out into the world and subconsciously make that journey favorable? Because I now believe it's destined to be.
That is the ultimate question, isn't it? Is the prophecy found in the cup, or is it made in the mind of the person reading it? Does the leaf shape the mind, or does the mind shape the leaf?
Something to mull over with your next cup of tea.
Mm-hmm.
Just make sure it's China tea.
And for goodness sake, don't drink the dregs.
And watch out for the kangaroos.
Always, always watch out for the kangaroos.
Thinking Deeper by 6-7.